thought that the bullets would silence us, but they failed. They thought that they would change my aims and stop my ambitions. But nothing changed in my life except this. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died. Strength, power, and courage was born. These are the words of Malala Yousafzai, who at the age of 17 became the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Good evening, friends. Welcome to this beautiful evening with the Global Women in Leadership Conversation Series. I'm Aparna G. Kumar, the Global Chairperson for Women Entrepreneurship and Empowerment of GCPIT, and your host for the evening. Why another conversation series? There are many of them happening live and also many are available in YouTube. Why we should watch this? In the 75 years since the United Nations was founded, the human race has never had to face a set of challenges like we do right now. And it is a myth that each and every one of us doesn't have the ability to change the world dramatically and quickly. There have been enormous shifts in power and behavior to the benefit of all humanity, and it can happen again. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us how fragile the world is. A microscopic virus has brought us on our knees, and that fragility should make us humble. COVID-19 has been likened to an X-ray, exposing the fractures in the skeleton of the societies we have built. A world with great inequality, which must be corrected, and a world which must win the battle against climate catastrophe. The whole planet is at stake. So this is the moment to recognize that the way we have been moving leads nowhere, and that we need to change the course. The lockdown also showed us that our environment itself can change. In Punjab, for the first time in generations, the Himalayas were visible. In Venice, the canal started running clear once more. And across Italy, the dolphins returned. If we look at the response of the people to COVID-19, people dramatically changed their lives. People have shown an enormous capacity to adapt to new circumstances and an enormous capacity to change the way they live, they work, and the way they organize themselves. So change is possible. The pandemic also saw devastating social and economic consequences for women and girls. The United Nations urges us to take urgent actions for urgent issues. Inequality for women is one of the greatest injustices. And we at GCPIT and CIMSME strongly believe that it is an injustice that must be and will be swept away. Studies say that 75% of the parliamentarians are men, 73% of the managerial decision makers are men, 67% of the climate negotiators are men, 70% of the people at peace table are men. Even though we know that when peace settlements include women, the negotiations and outcomes are more durable. Globally, almost 1 in 5 women has experienced violence in the last 18 months at the hands of a man they know. Women and girls do 3 times as much unpaid care and domestic work as men. The global gender pay gap is stuck at 16%. Every year, 10 million girls are married before 18 years. All of this has to change. We at GCPIT and CIMSME believe that it is time to stop trying to change women and start changing the systems that prevent them from achieving their potential. And this is a battle that women in this century will not lose. They are too strong and their voices will not be silenced. We at GCPIT and CIMSME believe that women must be able to live free from violence and have the right to make decisions over their bodies and lives. We at GCPIT and CIMSME believe that there are important changes needed to achieve economic empowerment for women, from equal access to finance and to ending gender pay gap to equal access and equal access to the digital world. This is a legacy that needs to change here and now by changing our behaviors and also by changing the laws and common practices across the world. We must all make that happen now. This year, UN Women has announced the theme for International Women's Day 2021 as Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. How can we create more women leaders or an equal future in this situation? At this juncture, it is critically important for the businesses to look at all the challenges women often face and clear the path for talented and dynamic leaders to rise to the top. This understanding, together with our own commitment to fostering a culture at GCPIT and CIMSME that is both diverse and inclusive, inspired us to start this conversation series on women and leadership. This series will have 100 global women leaders sharing their stories every day, which will be a learning university for all of us. We are aiming this series as an eye-opener to the society, which will surely encourage leaders to take clear and decisive steps to develop the leadership potential of their female employees. GCPIT's initiatives like the Global Women's Business Summit, Womenomics, and SheTrades Global will and follow-on programming have one objective: to move more women into the C-suite. The event brings together today's most accomplished leaders from the worlds of business, politics, sports, and the media to inspire the next generation of women leaders. We all have to do our part to make it happen. There is power in every decision we make. We can shape the society and future of our planet and people through every decision we make. As Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it is done. We have with us today a dynamic leader who is trying to achieve the impossible. She is an educationist and founder of Socio India. She is a social entrepreneur who has been supporting mental health concerns through interactions and interventions, especially during COVID times. She is an independent media contributor and columnist who is a guest faculty in business and journalism schools. She is a postgraduate and gold medal winner in journalism who passed out of IIM Bangalore with a rank. Her thirst for knowledge is never ending, and she is currently pursuing multiple postgraduate research programs. A journalist by specialization, but an entrepreneur by decision, she lives her dream every day. She is also the ideator behind the Together We Can campaign during COVID. She never says stop. Her constant endeavor to innovate and contribute, her never say die attitude in life, and her urge to connect socially with people made her introduce social emotional quotient named socio. Along with social intelligence, she does women entrepreneur and empowerment programs, communication trainings, and gender sensitivity and parenting workshops, to name a few. Her other creation, Kuttapai, is an animation series for children in vernacular language that brings the best of yesteryear stories to children in a format they engage largely with. The serial entrepreneur was a nominee for the Young Creative Entrepreneur in Communication India 2010. Is featured in BizLinked as a promising woman entrepreneur to 2012. Is one among the 8 most inspiring stories of women entrepreneurship in the book titled Women Who Ventured. Was one of the finalists for the She News Awards 2019 and was adjudged as one of the 5 changemakers of Karnataka by Limca Book of Records and Chai Pani, a media collective, jointly. And the latest being one among the 100 selected women leaders globally. Let me present before you the dynamic and cheerful Aparna Viswanathan. Welcome, Aparna, to the Global Women in Leadership Conversation series.
Thank you so much, Aparna. Thank you. That was such a lengthy introduction.
Right.
Yeah.
And congratulations on being selected as one of GCPIT Global Women Leaders also.
Thank you so much.
I really admire the work you have been doing through socio, and I've always felt proud of whatever you're doing. Your articles have made me think a lot about the way we see life, and I do a lot of course correction reading all that. Welcome, Aparna, once again.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a long intro, but we needed that intro. Yes. So I was watching a few of your interviews recently, and I came to know that socio was born out of your personal experiences. And I can see the way you do it with real passion. Can you please tell us what led you into starting socio?
Yeah, so a background to what I studied and then what I ended up doing. I started off being a journalist, and then one fine morning I decided to quit journalism for good, and then started my first company in 2004, which was primarily into capacity enhancement programs, capability building programs for youth and adults, and especially for students coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities who wouldn't have the exposure they're looking at to connect with outside competitive world. And that's all how it all began. And then in 2010, while I was doing one of my postgraduate programs, my son was with my mother back in Kerala. And then I think as a child, I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. So as children, we were always brought up as equal. So there was never any distinction in on the basis of gender, or there were never questions asked or said as to, you're a girl, you shouldn't be doing this, or you're a girl, you should be doing this, kind of a dialogue at home. The same applies, at my personal space here in Bangalore too. So when he was there, and when one of the evenings when he was playing and then he tripped and fell down, he started crying, and one of the aunties sitting there very, very casually remarked, saying, "Why are you?" I'm asking him, "Why are you crying like a girl?" It actually kind of, I think, I mean, he started questioning it a lot. And then when I called up, when I went during the weekend, he kept asking me why are girls called crybabies and why are boys not allowed to cry. That actually made me think a lot. And then I started researching on the gender stereotypes, unconscious biases that we are part of. I mean, as early as possible, as early as a child, a kindergarten child, we are thrown into unconscious biases and gender biases. So, is there anything that talks about breaking these conventional thinking and structural beliefs that aren't very healthy? Is what made me research about social emotional intelligence, and I realized that in Indian academia, not just in academia, I think in public spaces also, we don't talk much about these biases and conscious, what do I say, prejudices that are largely part of our living, part of our upbringing, part of how we look at life too. And thus socio was born in 2010. So we primarily work with children because I guess I strongly believe that if a change has to happen, it has to start as early as possible. I mean, the tagline always says catch them young. So we start programs as early as sixth grade, and we talk about subjects that are not covered in your mainstream academia, at least in Indian syllabus, ICSE and CBSE. So which talks about whatever subjects we just covered, topics that we covered. And apart from that, also introduction to sex education, which I think is very, very important now. Apart from that, we also give tips on mental well-being, emotional well-being, identifying early signs of depression, anxieties, and also first aid, mental health, first aid, and understanding suicidal tendencies. So that's largely about what socio does with children and youth. The same applies to even teachers and parents. So we run parenting clinics and parenting workshops. Not in advocating positive parenting or the right parenting patterns, but in how engaging or communicative you can be as a parent, because I guess communication breakdown is fairly high in most of the households, and that's something that we would want to bring back to every home. Dining table stories and casual conversations that are not touching on your academics or your studies or marks, and how you build that healthy connect between parents and children. Yeah, more or less what we do in this space. And apart from that, we also advocate women empowerment and women entrepreneurship a lot. Maybe because I come from that space, and I strongly believe that as a woman, there isn't anything that stops you from achieving your goals and dreams.
Right. Is I always think communication is getting lost in the families and most of the time. Yeah, communication is the biggest problem everywhere.
Yes, there is no open and transparent communication. There might be communication, but I would say it's slightly tending towards a subtly aggressive pattern now.
Right. So what I was coming to the woman empowerment part, and I know that you have been doing a lot of things during the COVID time. And as I mentioned, International Women's Day theme this year is Women in Leadership Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 world. So how would you connect this Women's Day theme? Women's Day theme with your area of work?
Oh yeah, I think what we're trying to do and what you're trying to address has a lot of significance in today's world, especially after the UN came out with the theme for this year. I could kind of connect it at every level, because the last 10 years we've been trying to kind of connect people at every level, from grassroots level and to the middle class, to the upper middle class, to the affluent class, in understanding what do I say, patterns in gender. And during COVID, what we understood is that a lot of the cases that came to us were primarily targeted at women because of the domestic pressure that a woman had to go through during COVID, because I think there were a lot of expectations from a woman as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, and they were like all confined to homes. So the pressure buildup was very high, and then the gender defined roles and responsibilities and duties that a woman is obliged to perform actually put a lot of pressure on women, and hence a number of cases of mental emotional turbulences women were going through were really high during COVID. So I think COVID was an eye opener in understanding the inequalities, in understanding the economic inequalities, in the social inequalities, and also in understanding how we can address these in a post-COVID scenario, and how we need to look at it and look from a solution-based, result-oriented approach. And that's exactly what socio is trying to do, because now when children come back to schools, when teachers come back to school, they would need some sort of support in attuning themselves, in acclimatizing themselves suddenly to a change that was not part of their overall understanding of the ecosystem. So there should be some hand-holding done by outside agencies, stakeholders from the mental health, emotional health industry and space. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So the burden or the pressure build-up on women has to come down post-COVID. And for that, I think it's not just women who need to make noise and be heard, but it should also be equal responsibility of the men to stand up and be responsible for that. So only then we will achieve this the space of what UN envisions for 2021.
Right. And most of the time, the problems women face are balancing work and life, right? You travel a lot. So how do you balance these?
So Aparna, to be very frank, I don't think I kind of differentiate between my work and life, because I guess the space that I belong to is more or less what or how we live. It's about breaking stereotypes. It's about gender equality. It's about how we bring healthy conversations at home. So there isn't marked differentiation between work and life. It's intertwined, or I would say seamless at some point. But then, yeah, when I travel, when I have to be away for long spells, yes, you miss your family emotionally, mentally. But otherwise, I guess there isn't any gender defined roles at home. So whoever is there at home, if it's my husband or my son, whoever is there, they take up the responsibility and then they just perform. I mean, just because Amma isn't there, or just because some person is not at home, nothing gets affected here. And maybe very early on, I was brought up like that. My parents were both working and independent, so I was brought up like that. So I made it a point to kind of pass it on to my child. And this is something that we very clearly tell in our workshops too. Bring your child up as independent as possible. Your love, your affection, your adoration should not be making them dependent. It should be making them independent, and then making them understand life skills at a very young age. Yeah, so that way I really haven't felt, the work-life balance pressure, no. Yeah,
Yes.
COVID, I think, actually helped me in spending much more time with my family. Yeah, that is the positive side, or good side of being at home the last 10 months. But otherwise, we strike a balance always. Yeah, I think being at home always is also not a very healthy pattern. You need to be outside and then meet people and understand what is going around too. Yeah.
Right. I think that has answered a lot of women's questions, right? So
Yeah.
the time we hear that when women come into leadership or when they climb up the success ladder, they face a lot of barriers. So as a
Hmm.
female leader, have you faced any barriers in your career?
No, as a female, I have never thought myself as a female leader. I've always thought about myself only as a leader. So gender, I never think in terms of gender. I think that itself is a roadblock or a stumbling block if you start thinking like that I'm a woman and I should be privileged, or I am a woman, I'm not entitled to certain things. I think as leaders, we all should come out of that particular conscious thinking pattern in our head, and then just feel that you need to lead. And that way, I don't think as a female leader, I probably people have only respected me more, and had high regard for my work because I am a woman. Yeah, I honestly uh, not really, but I know a lot of women who actually go through it. So it's not that I don't understand it, or it's not that I don't have first hand. It's that I don't have first hand experience of it, but I see it in close quarters and how difficult it is for many women to actually move up the ladder because of gender. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to address through all these programs and conversations.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the right. That was the answer I was looking for. Right.
Yeah.
In our lives, we have role models, right? Everybody has a role model. So, who was your role model?
See, I've had many role models at different points in life, but I think the consistent person that I looked up to was my mother. She's no more. I lost her 6 years ago to cancer. But then I think in the 70s, she was one person who broke every gender stereotype, every societal structure, and then was mentally, emotionally, financially independent, took care of a joint family of 8 members because she lost her father when she was very young, and yet she was highly regarded in the family and the friend circle as the most affectionate and warm person. So I guess there were a lot of lessons that I mean, as children, as girls in the next generation could actually draw from her. Apart from her, I should also mention my aunt, my dad's sister, who was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes when she was 10 years old. She's 50 plus now, but I don't think there is anything she hasn't achieved in life professionally and personally. Illness, I mean, health, gender have never been an issue, or those two women showed me that there isn't anything that stops you if you really need to achieve and if you really are dreaming big. So my aunt Prema, I think she's an amazing dancer, and she recently danced. I mean, she's 50 plus, and she recently danced along with me for an event. So, and in spite of being on insulin, and yeah, so I have seen her while I was growing up along with my mom. So these two women have had tremendous influence on me. As people, and as somebody who I always looked up to. Yeah. Apart from that, there are many people who you actually come across in your daily professional life who you think, okay, there are many good value systems that you can kind of take away from them. There are many things that you can relate to at some level. So there are many like that, but I think somebody who's always been there and supported me, and I think it's also because of them that I never feared dreaming. Yeah, there is also I
Yes.
mean, girls are always made to be afraid of their dreams.
Right. Yeah, that is, no, even I have faced the same.
Yeah, at some point,
Yeah,
people always tell you you are a girl. There are limitations for you. So at least not once in my life have I heard such a dialogue or a sentence. So that
yeah,
really puts
well,
lot of what do I say, confidence and trust in myself. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, we were really lucky in that way. Oh,
Yeah.
so we were talking about women leaders. We don't want women leaders. We want leaders, right? So
Yes.
I think
I think at least
some
in
of
the next 2-3 years, we should not be talking about any summit or leadership programs on the basis of gender, because inclusivity, end of the day, is something we all are striving for. Equal space
right.
just does not mean men and women. Mean men and women, equality among men and women. It also speaks about many other gender expressions and definitions. So we are striving towards such an equal space. So at least in the next 3 years, we should be talking about just leadership programs and not women leadership programs. No, it's a long way to
Right.
go, because I mean, it's easy when you are privileged in some sense, at least with support system and the ecosystem that you fell into. you kind of feel privileged that there were many people to support you, but not many are privileged that way. So you need to kind of fight the odds out to come up. So that's why I said it's not an easy task. It might come easy to some. It did come easy to me at some point, but then later I did have to kind of struggle my way up. So at least the next 3 or 4 years, let's look at establishing that equal space.
Right. So, what do you think are the some of the traits of great leaders? We don't talk about women leaders. We are talking about great leaders.
Leaders, yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
think, I mean, if you actually look at the common thread in many of the leaders that we all look up to, maybe in business or in politics or in public spheres, um, they have all fought really hard. One. Two is they never gave up. I mean, if you had given up, anyone for that matter, then you wouldn't be up there as a leader. So that mettle in you to not give up and fight with your tooth, nail, and whatever possible is some common thread that you see in every leader. One, two is I think they believed in themselves more than anything else. Because I mean, Aparna, I am sure you might be able to relate to. This is something that I have faced as a woman because though that has not deterred me or affected me much, there are many people around you who would want to pull you down. And then at some point, you start questioning your own abilities and then your own skill sets and talent. So I think as leaders, if you start getting affected or bogged down by these unhealthy practices, then you don't make it to the top. So I think leaders have always been that way, very truthful to themselves in believing what they stand for and what they are too.
Right. So, any suggestions for future leaders, like girls who are aiming
I
toward?
think women leaders and female leaders, I think we all should take out this title of female and women from our leadership titles and just lead from the front. And then I think we also should move to a flat hierarchy system where we do not have bosses and subordinates, but treat everyone as equals. I think it's high time we all worked as one in any organization for that matter, and then have that respect for each other, not on the basis of age or experience, but just being humans and then understanding each other with compassion, passion, attitude, grit. So that's something that I would really want organizations to kind of I bring about a transformation in their leadership and thinking. What do I say? Departments.
Great, great. Have
If that can
I,
happen, I think it would be a much more peaceful world outside.
yes, I think in GCPIT we are following that.
Oh,
At
okay,
least, yeah,
wonderful.
at
Yeah,
least I can be sure about that. So,
yeah, because it's not going to happen overnight, and it takes much effort. So at least some organizations, if they start to begin to work towards that larger goal, I think many would follow suit.
yeah, right, right. And while leading men, have you ever experienced resistance?
Leading when when men led me, I have had resistance. Maybe because of my gender. At some point, as a journalist, yes, I have faced the gender inequality and conscious biases. But then I was also in a space and the profession where you could fight it out. Yeah, journalism, you can use your words, you can use your power of pen and pencil and paper. So that way, it was only then. But once I moved to entrepreneurship, not much. I don't think I have faced any resistance from men because I'm a woman leading an organization. Never. In fact, like I said earlier, it has only been respect and regard.
Okay, okay. So I think you have a great team in socio. So I
Yes,
would know what is your
we've been
management
together
style.
for 9 years now. Yeah.
Okay, so what is your management style? How do you like to communicate with the team?
So it's all a very friendly. It's like a family. We call socio family. There is no socio department or socio company like that. So it's more or less very informal, but at the same time, I mean, it's not like a college atmosphere either. But then there is some formality, and then sit down discussions that happen, and then there is enough and ample room for healthy discussion and debate. So everyone's point of view is taken into consideration, and everyone is given due importance. in decision making, whatever it be. There, like I said, it's a flat system. I mean, nobody treats each other as, I mean, you're the boss, or you just joined yesterday, or you've been in the company for like 7 years or 8 years. No, nothing like that. So whoever comes, I mean, even if somebody comes tomorrow, they joins in tomorrow, they'll be as well regarded as somebody who'd been in the organization for like 7, 8 years. So I think the warmth, we all are very, very, I mean, as a company, we should be standing for that. We're a very people-friendly organization because we talk about people, we talk about stories of people, and we share stories of people. So we have to stand for people.
That's great. I think a lot of learning. And what about your family? Can you just?
Yeah, so I met my husband when I was doing my post-graduation in journalism. Yeah, so he comes from a similar background, works as a technical writer. And I have a 15-year-old son who is taking his board exams this year. Yeah, I lost my parents, both of them, to cancer. It's been like 2 years of that and 6 years of mom leaving us. And I have a twin brother. Yeah, so that's such a blessing in life. He lives abroad with his family and 2 daughters. Yeah, so that's about
Right,
my
right.
family. And I come from a joint family, and I think that's my biggest strength. Back in Kerala, I come from a very small village called Cherplasheri, and I mean, I have accomplished, or whatever strength that I have today is primarily because of the schooling system that the school I went to. I had an amazing set of teachers then. So I think that gave me the courage to kind of be there up on the stage and then do the talking and then convincing, and yeah. So a small place can do wonders to people.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
overlocked to
I
Cherplasheri
can
actually.
I can really see that you got a great supporting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, another question, like in your view, how can we start small steps towards a more equal space? What does it? Where does it start, and how?
It has to start from schools and homes. I think it should start from homes first. But if it has to start from homes, then there needs to be some bit of awareness and education and what do I say, hand holding that will have to go into parenting sessions and hand holding them, because not everyone is aware of what is happening outside and how to actually what do I say, cater or tune themselves to the changing needs of outside world, especially when it comes to young children, because they all are very addicted to phones. They're all very addicted to OTT platforms, cyber world, a lot of emotional mental turbulence happening. So unless there is some bit of hand holding and some awareness educative programs run for parents and teachers, the start will be difficult, but it has to begin from homes. And I think every parent should make it a point to kind of take out this conversation and the vocabulary where you talk in gender specific language to your children. Now you're a boy and you're a girl. Reminders in many forms. And these are silly reminders which actually will leave a huge scar in the psyche of the children. And then they tend to think in that manner. So I think every parent should also, now what I've seen in the last 10 years of working very closely with parents and children is that these days every mother, every father would want their girls to be like independent, high flying, very strong, brave. But at the same time, you're actually forgetting that you need to also teach your sons to respect women, and if
Right.
at all, yeah, because that is something that we are actually facing, which actually makes me really sad, feel bad about it also. So why are we not giving equal importance to our sons also in educating them to respect women and respect girls? I think a lot of the abuse against women, a lot of abuse, the violence against women, I think stem from this particular thought of they being inferior to us right from a very young age. So in every conversation at home, you should make it a point to have healthy conversation with your sons to make them understand how to respect women, how to respect their classmates who are girls, how to have that boundary in place and borders in place, and then respect the other person, not just two genders. Because when I'm talking about children, we are also talking about the transformational age where the child can start questioning their identity and their gender expression. So there are many things that a child would go through when they're going through their transition age. So all these things need to come as regular dialogues and conversations in homes, and that's where we need to start to make a change. So it has. I mean, I think bringing it to homes, the awareness programs and education programs, bringing into homes will not be a very easy task. So what is the most easiest task? Get it to the schools. So at school level, right from primary, I would say that these should be made a mandatory dialogue and conversation and practices in every school, in every stream, whatever stream you follow, be it state syllabus, ICSE, IGCSE, or CBSE. Such topics should be mandated at least post-COVID, because we do not want to go through an unequal world again. No.
Yes, I totally agree, Aparna. I think it is high time. And I still remember once my dad told me, I heard him talking to his friend. He asked, you have only one daughter. Then what his answer was, like, Indira Gandhi, only one daughter. So that was...
yeah, you still remember that. So such dialogues will stay with you till your end. So we never know what dialogues will stay with our children till their end. So which is why we need to be very careful about making a remark in the name of gender, on the basis of gender.
Exactly. Sure. I think these conversations really matter, and communication is really important. I totally agree. And my last... And my last two questions will be, when you heard...
I thought it was over.
No, we have two more questions to go. And how did you feel when you heard that you have been selected as one of the 100 global leaders?
It is an amazing experience and a feel. I mean, I'm still not out of it. Also, because like I told you, Aparna, this is the first time we are being recognized on a global platform. We have been recognized earlier at the state level and regional level and national level, but definitely feels good, because then you know that your efforts are in the right direction. And then not just me, I think back home, everyone is really thrilled. I can even see trolls in my name from my native. I was like, yeah, so that way it feels really amazing. And then it is also some way a booster to kind of continue our efforts at the grassroots level and continue the work that we are kind of very committed to.
Great. Yeah, we are all proud of your work. I can see whatever you are doing. It's amazing. Okay. And we are coming up with a virtual trade fair for women, SheTrades Global.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what message to this SheTrades Global Mission 2021?
See, okay. The message, I think we all need to be connected for a larger social cause. And yeah, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have our own identities, independent of maybe our work and dependent on our work too. But I think since we've come together, I think it should stand for a larger cause. And then end of the day, for me, what is most important in life is inclusivity, because there's so much of diverse in everything. You see diversity, and then it's just shattering. So in some way, if we can lay a thread that will connect people together and make them inclusive as one, which is why we ran the campaign, Together We Can. So I think that's a message that I would give to the people.
Yeah, right. Together we can.
Yeah.
Right. And thank you so much, Aparna. It was amazing. It was really great.
I think this has opened many doors for me in terms of reaching out to larger people, in terms of associations, in terms of understanding a lot more people and their stories. So thank you so much to CISME and also Global Council for International Trade. Yeah, quite in depth at that way.
I know your schedule is really, really busy. Thank you so much for taking some time for us and joining in this conversation today.
Pleasure always. Pleasure always mine, Aparna.
I really love the work you're doing to make this place a better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So let's all together promise to support, mentor, and build more women leaders. Can I say? Or
Absolutely.
leaders
Yeah,
in the
at
coming
least for the next
years.
2-3 years, let's continue to use that. But I think by 2023, 24, we should take out the gender specific titles from even our own address system.
Let us all try to mentor and bring up more women leaders in the coming years and create the change we all want to see in this world. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear audience, for being with us till now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for listening and being part of this program.
Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow with another powerful woman leader who is doing amazing work. Thank you, Aparna. Good night.
All the best.
Thank